Welcome to the first installment of the Fireside CharLA series brought to you in partnership with United Latinx Fund and the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles. I am Marlon Morales, ULF board member, and I manage the VIP Experience for Growing Generations, which is an international surrogacy agency here in Los Angeles. Welcome to tonight's event. This online event series aims to engage, educate, and advocate on important and timely topics that impact LA's Latinx community, particularly during COVID-19 pandemic. To that end, we want to hear from you. So I'd like you to do the following right now. In the chat box, please share your name and one topic that you'd like to see featured or discussed on the next Fireside CharLA. I'll give you a second to get that started. In other words, what we're asking for is that you single out the greatest issue that LA's Latinx community needs to know about and should be a topic of dialogue on this program. Let's get some. So it's name and the one topic you'd like to see using the chat box. Perfect. I see some already. Let's keep it short and simple. For example, my name is Marlon Morales, and I think the single greatest issue facing LA's Latinx community is direct access to the pipeline of tech jobs. Some more of those going. Perfect. Helen, jobs, fantastic. Jake, amazing. Organizing and bridging the digital divide, fantastic. Cindy, more on the digital organizing, wonderful. Teresa, thank you. Small nonprofit resilience strategies, awesome. Karen, one of the biggest issues is domestic violence education, fantastic. All right, this will stay open for the remainder of our CharLA today. Thank you everyone for sharing. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce the moderator of tonight's event, Richard Javier Corral, Executive Director of the United Latinx Fund.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Richard Corral. A brief panelist introduction, facilitated conversation, and of course, a Q&A. So please, if you have questions, please put it in the chat box, and we will revisit your questions at key points in the program. Please note that everyone's audio will be muted until the Q&A. And if you have any technical questions, please put your question in the chat box, and our helpful technician, Jake, will assist you. So let's go ahead and begin. So United Latinx Fund and the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles has been in frequent communication with our family of nonprofits and community partners. And there are reoccurring themes that emerge, that although financial relief is coming down from the state and the federal government, most notably the several millions of dollars that were announced in emergency relief by Governor Newsom yesterday, despite some programs also that are coming down from the federal government that really came into play last week, many of our community members do not qualify for these state and federal programs. So in response, our partnership with the Latino Coalition seeks to engage and connect alternative financial solutions offered by trusted community institutions that can bring immediate financial relief to those who do not qualify for traditional lending products offered by banks like Wells Fargo or B of A or some of the more traditional banks. And what I want to make sure that we understand is that United Latinx Fund is really here to provide a space, for conversation, to provide a space for dialogue, and to share multiple different options and discuss multiple different options. And so private sector, public sector, federal relief, nonprofit sector, we have folks from nonprofits so also provide emergency assistance and relief to the communities that we care about. So our hope, because this is our first charla, our intention is to continue to have conversations, to continue showcasing options, but also to be very clear about the limitations, right? Every program, every set of relief efforts has its limitations. So we want to be very upfront about that. We want to be transparent about it. We obviously let no one option is good for every person under every circumstance. So I just really wanted to qualify that and say, we want to keep this space open for conversation. We want to lay out all the different options, pros and cons, so that at the end of the day, members of our community have choice and they know how to communicate those choices clearly to the constituents that they work with. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce tonight's featured panelist, Alejandra Velazquez, who works at one such community-based financial institution, lending institution, Oportun, that provides banking to the unbanked and underbanked, particularly immigrant and undocumented members of our community with little to no credit. In fact, Oportun offers solutions for individuals and families who need to build credit or to gain accessibility to smaller emergency loans for daily needs. Alejandra Velazquez currently is the Senior Director of Public Affairs at Oportun. She oversees public policy and advocacy efforts and grassroots partnerships across 9 states. She has more than 15 years of experience in public policy, advocacy, coalition building, and multicultural, multilingual outreach. Welcome, Alejandra.
Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you everyone for being here and sharing your evening with us. We know that everybody has a lot going on at this moment, so we appreciate your time.
Absolutely, and I wanted just to remind folks that if you do have questions, please put them in the chat box. We have one of our team members from the Latino Coalition who is diligently checking the chat box and is actually carefully recording your questions and is going to put those questions together during the Q&A. So please don't be shy. Please ask your questions because we really do want to have a robust engagement after this initial conversation with Alejandra. So thank you for that. So Alejandra, let's start with some basic questions in terms of your organization. We don't like to assume that folks know everything about some of these established community-based institutions. And so could you tell us a little bit about who is Oportun, what do you do, and how are you different than traditional lenders?
Sure. So Oportun is a community development financial institution, a CDFI. We are one of a handful of for-profit entities that are CDFIs. They are mostly community-based nonprofits. And we were founded with the mission of helping the estimated approximately 100 million individuals in the US who are underbanked or unbanked, meaning that they don't have access to credit. So these individuals have been shut out of the mainstream market and options are limited when it comes to financing a large purchase or paying for emergency expenses. So they may not qualify for credit cards or loans from traditional banks. Some of the alternatives they may have charge incredibly high interest rates, such as payday lenders, auto title loan. They may require a bank account, which they don't have, or require collateral. In addition to not having credit, they are very limited in other options in being able to have a healthy future. As you all know, credit really drives your ability to move forward in this country. Even renting an apartment nowadays requires a credit check. And if you don't have that, it really limits your options in life. So Oportun offers unsecured loans in the range of $300 to $10,000 with a payback range of 6 months to 46 months with a fixed interest rate. So that means that somebody can borrow $300 and they get 6 months to pay it back. And then the larger the loan, the longer the repayment period. These are fully amortizing loans, which means that every payment that you give goes to the principal and the interest. So unlike other loans with high cost lenders, customers find themselves just paying interest and interest and interest every single month and like never hitting the principal. So our loans are fully amortizing. They're paying down their interest every single month. We have our own proprietary formula. So we are considered financial technology, fintech, but that's because we leverage data and technology to have our own underwriting system that allows us to determine if someone's creditworthy when they don't have a traditional FICO score. So this allows us to underwrite every single loan to ensure ability to pay. We have no interest in trapping someone in a loan that they can't afford. We don't have any prepayment penalties, no balloon payments, and we are actually physical locations, and we have them in areas that are convenient for the people that we serve so that they can have easy access to come in, whether it's to borrow, to make a payment, ask questions. All of our services are bilingual. Everything we do is in English and Spanish. We hire locally, so all of our employees at our branches are very likely to come from the neighborhood in which they work. We also hold extended hours, so we are traditionally, depends on the site, but open from about 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this allows people time in their, off hours and to fit their own schedules rather than being open the traditional 9 to 5 when everybody is traditionally at work. And most importantly, we require to the credit bureaus. We report to the positive credit history to the credit bureaus. We don't require a bank account to take out a loan, and we can lend to individuals with an ITA number. As a matter of fact, when the company was originally founded in 2005, the founders were specifically looking at access to credit for immigrant communities. So that is how the company was started. Since making our first loan in 2005, we have helped more than 800,000 individuals establish a credit score. So these are 800,000 people who came to us with a 0 FICO score.
Wow.
And because of a loan at Oportun, they were able to establish a credit score. And we've learned that after one loan with us, someone's score can jump to the 600s. And after 2 loans, they could very possibly be in the 700s. We have also helped our customers save more than $1.6 billion in interest and fees had they gone to an alternative lender like Payday, Auto Title, or Pawn for their loans. I'd like to show you a graph. I'm not sure if Jake has that available at the moment, that shows the cost of Oportun loans compared to these alternative lenders.
Thank you, Jake.
Perfect, thank you. As you can see, so we had the Center for Financial Health, which was formerly called the Financial Health Network, which is formerly called Center for Financial Innovation Services, look at an Oportun loan and compare it to the alternatives that are usually available to people without credit, LMI communities without credit. This is for a loan that's approximately just under $1,100. As you can see, this is a first-time borrower coming to Oportun. An $1,100 loan would cost them just under $300. This is all fees included, all interest included. If you look at online installment, that $1,100 loan, they'd end up paying almost $2,500 in interest and fees on top of the principal. You can see down Payday, online Payday, rent-to-own, installment, auto title loan, pawn. Overall, it was revealed that Oportun can be 1/4 to 1/7 of the cost of alternatives available to the unbanked, underbanked population. And we can remove that unless people want to take a look at it a little bit longer. So this is really what sets us apart from the alternatives available. In addition, we provide financial education every time we disperse a loan, 15-minute course on what is credit, how do you protect your credit, how do you build your credit. And since 2018, we've developed a very robust partnership with Unidos US to provide access to financial coaches to all of our customers. So if someone comes in with questions about their credit report, about how to build credit, about wanting to buy a home. Maybe they were victims of credit fraud, a variety of issues. We can connect them to someone that can work with them one-on-one to help them understand their issues better. So that's really an overview of what we offer, how our loans function.
Excellent. Thank you for that overview. And I think that one of the reasons why people are very interested in joining today's conversation is because of the announcement yesterday from the governor. And so if you can sort of put within that context the relative impact of the investment that the governor proposed on undocumented communities, and then sort of what you see as Oportun's current and possibly changing role, right, in the lending market. What specific financial needs does Oportun now meet within this new context and the investment that the governor has provided and authorized?
So number one, we're incredibly supportive of what the governor is doing. We think it's very much needed. You know, we are seeing a lot of our communities, as you mentioned earlier, being, you know, who are disenfranchised from what the federal government is doing. And I know that there's a lot of efforts, probably from a lot of folks here on the call today and other advocacy groups who are trying to push the federal government to do more for immigrant communities. For Oportun, we have always been there to serve the role of building credit, but also meeting emergency needs, right? And so those we have been aware from the beginning that we are working with individuals who are susceptible to job loss, who are susceptible to inconsistencies in their income, who are more likely to be paid cash, right, or under the table. And so we have been there for them in times of emergencies, right? So if your car breaks down and it's $500, most of us are privileged and blessed to be able to either take it from our savings or put it on a credit card. But what if you don't have savings or you don't qualify for a credit card, right? There really aren't a lot of options other than these other predatory lenders who will lend you that type of amount of money, like Wells Fargo, Chase Bank. They don't work in small dollar loans. And so I think that we're going to continue serving in that role, because even as governments respond, it's not enough, right? Like ideally it'll be enough to help people cover their main financials, housing and food, but emergencies still happen, right? Whether it's a healthcare emergency, a car emergency. We all know that housing costs in Los Angeles are outrageous, bridging that gap. And so we are there to be able to provide access to credit to individuals who may not find it elsewhere. In addition, I mean, it's just going to take a village, and we realize that we as one company, despite our reach, you know, we're in 9 states, we have more than 300 locations, can't solve this problem alone. So it really is going to take, especially in these times, a more coordinated effort between governments, our nonprofits who are really like on the ground, front lines, serving the needs of individuals, and then companies like Oportun, who are really trying to do the right thing and working together to bring resources to individuals.
Thank you. That provides good context. But again, because one of the things I did want to do is, you know, there is no one single silver bullet. There is no one single solution. I mean, there's pieces of the pie, right? It's a big pie that we're trying to get at. And so I wanted people to have a relative understanding of the context, the landscape, the different options, and again, the relative sort of pros and cons and benefits of each. And to that end, you know, United Latinx Fund has been in conversations with not only our philanthropic partners, but our corporate partners. Many of them are on the line today, as well as our nonprofit partners. Everybody's doing something specifically for their existing clientele, for their existing customers, right? Can you tell us specifically what it is that the actions that you're taking today, so that if I am an Oportun client, if I have a loan from your company, what relief am I getting today from you all today?
Absolutely. So we have, really as a company has evolved, have really focused again on consumer protections and how do we provide the best service for our customers. And so during this crisis, but even outside of this crisis, we have always worked, again, as I mentioned earlier, we are very much aware that we're working with a population who is not always financially stable, again, susceptible to changes in the economy. And so there's always going to be factors that affect their ability to repay. And so we always say, if there's a problem, call us. But we did discover in 2017, it was actually our first major crisis, which was when Hurricane Harvey hit the Houston area. And the Houston market is significant for us. We have thousands of customers there. And it was the first time we realized that a disaster was affecting a significant core of our customers. And so that was our learning experience. Okay, what is it that individuals going through a crisis really need during this time, and what support services can we provide? And so we were able to react then, and we were able to take that and apply it now. And so we have been sending out communications to all of our customers via text, via mail, via email, via phone calls, reaching them in every way we can possible to let them know that if they have been affected in any way, if they have seen their income change, if they need help, that they can call us or visit one of our branches so long as they're not sick. And we will work with them. We can defer payments without additional interest accruing. We can get rid of any fees they might have accrued. We can rewrite loans and basically work with each individual depending on their situation, right? And
Right.
we think that that's, in addition to that, again, we think this is a critical time to connect them with financial coaches if they might need access to additional financial services. And we also have a partnership with another software company called Spring4. And that basically allows any of our customer service reps to put in someone's zip code. Let's say someone comes in and says, someone I know was deported, right? My husband, someone in my family, and when we're looking for resources, punch it and be like, and give them a list of organizations in their neighborhood that is addressing like immigrant rights issues. Or they might say someone passed away and we don't have money for a funeral. We can like refer them to different communities. So I think that's going to be incredibly critical right now, as people need more than just money, but a variety of support services.
So I want to make sure we have enough time for questions and engagement. So just if we want to wrap it up, just in 30 seconds, really quick, Alejandra, listen, what if I'm not the ideal Oportun client? What if I don't meet your requirements? What if I'm, for whatever reason, I'm ineligible? Can just really quickly in 30 seconds, can you tell us what other options are there out there for me? How else can I get my financial needs met? Maybe the governor's fund is all tapped out. Maybe I don't meet the requirements for a traditional bank, and maybe I'm not qualified for you. What do I do?
So, Oportun is just one option in a variety of options. We are really big proponents of community CDFIs who have been around for a really long time and actually do a really good job of providing similar products to individuals. Back in 2018, we actually made $1 million available through a partnership with the Opportunity Finance Network to provide interest-free capital to other CDFIs. So Oportun is one option, and we've learned how to take it to scale, but we're not the only ones doing this. I think that and there's two people who wouldn't qualify for an Oportun loan. One is someone who has access to credit and can go to a different type of creditor. And then it's individuals who whose income perhaps doesn't qualify them. They would be stuck in a loan that they can't afford to pay back. And so I would really encourage them to look up, to go to OFN's webpage, Opportunity Finance Network, and they have a list of community-based CDFIs, nonprofits that are offering loans at a low cost to individuals in their community.
Perfect. And I think that Cindy might have been provided a resource list of different CDFIs or a website. One of the things that we're going to be doing is we've already assembled a list of resources and links to follow up on today's conversation. So I believe that Cindy will provide that as well. So I mentioned earlier in today's conversation that we have been engaging and speaking with other philanthropies, with our government partners, with some of our nonprofit partners. And I know we have some of our nonprofit partners here today who also are providing products and loans to key members of our communities that may or may not be eligible for any number of these opportunities. I believe we have Rudy Espinosa on the line today joining us. Thank you so much, Rudy, for joining us. And if Jake, if you could unmute Rudy, please. I know that he was wanting to share a question or offer a comment on today's conversation.
Hey, everybody. I hope you could hear me okay. Full disclosure, Ale is a friend of mine. So I want to thank you, Ale, for participating and for letting us know about Oportun. You actually answered some of my questions already, talking about the deferral of payments that you're offering to your clients during this time. COVID-19 is something that's impacting the folks that we work with, undocumented entrepreneurs, street vendors, as I am sure it's impacting the folks that are on this call. So you answered part of my question. My question to you, and I've been really frank with Ale, everybody, that my concern with Oportun is a high interest rate for small dollar loans. It could be about 36%. And Ale showed us that CFSI spreadsheet that showed it costs about $300 to get the $1,100 loan. So Ale and I have had, at least a couple of conversations about it together and trying to figure out how to get better at that. My question then, Ale, since you answered the part about loan deferment is Oportun also, pursuing, for any lender, sometimes folks don't pay their loan back. And at times you have to go to small claims court. I'm wondering, Ale, is Oportun stopping that during this time? So that's one question. And then number two is, are you looking at providing debt forgiveness? A lot of folks, their lives are going to be damaged for a very long time because of this. And I'm wondering if you guys are working to forgive debt.
Rudy, just really quick, Alejandra, before you answer that, Rudy, could you just, for those folks who on the line who may not be as familiar with you and what you do, just in 10 seconds or less, kind of say who you are, what you do, and why you have so much incredible expertise on the topic.
Hey, everybody. I work at an organization called Inclusive Action. We do advocacy work and economic development. We were one of the organizations that legalized street vending in LA, and we are also a microlender that provides low interest loans and business coaching to entrepreneurs. And we've worked with some Oportun clients.
Thank you.
So your first question was about debt collection, right? And so interestingly enough, we were just having a conversation with the Center for Responsible Lending. They had the same concern. And so what we are doing is making every effort possible to connect directly with all of our customers. So long as a customer is in touch with us, we are doing every single thing possible to put them on a plan that works for them and their situation. We are, to be completely frank with you, still pursuing debt collections, but these are only for the people who are not responding to us in any way, shape, or form. Right? Like we've sent text messages, we've made phone calls, and we're talking, at this moment, these are pre-COVID-19 because it's really about 3 months. We haven't heard from you. We've tried to reach out. We've made every effort. And so what we found in the past is that that when you file for a debt collection, the majority of people respond and they'll call you. And then we work with them, so then we don't follow through on the debt collection. So the number of accounts that actually go through debt collections is very minor. However, because this was brought to our attention today about how this, one of these we're talking about is how would this affect perhaps someone who's an immigrant, right? And they get a notice that says that they're taking them to court. Like, they might not have the same type of understanding, and this might push them further into the shadows or to hide. And so this is something that we are actually taking very seriously now. We're going back to our legal team and talking about, can we actually put a pause on this during COVID-19? And then your second question was debt forgiveness, right?
Debt forgiveness.
I think, so what we've been talking about at the moment, we're very early on in COVID-19. So we are actually seeing most of our customers stay on top of their payments so far. But I think that we haven't really hit the peak. We haven't really seen how hard people are going to get hit. And so, as I mentioned, there's a variety of, it's not a one fits all solution. And so I think that if we found someone in a very, very dire situation, there might be conversations about what we do with that debt. And I know I'm not giving you a direct answer, and that's because we haven't faced that situation yet. So we haven't had to do something for that one. But I mean, we've talked about rewriting loans, changing some of the terms, and all this would be without accruing any additional interest.
So this has been a lot of information. I know for some folks like myself who aren't immersed in the financial sector on a daily basis, I can only imagine that you all have some pretty significant conversations. So I wanted to pass the mic over to my colleague, Cindy, to see if she has any sort of summary question or overarching theme that has emerged from the chat box. Cindy, could you enlighten us and share a little bit about your observations and the questions at hand?
Yeah, of course. So thank you, Alejandra. I think a lot of folks have been really just tuning in and listening and kind of just grasping all the information that you're sharing with us. One of the questions that I see popped up from Jake is, do you see the needs of the consumer-based community growing over time? For example, smaller loans for the immediate expenses and larger loans for the long-term expenses?
Yes, so what usually happens is that a first-time borrower probably only qualifies for a smaller loan. And then once they've met that obligation, so they can only have one loan out with us at a time. And once they pay back that loan, they've actually established credit, right? They have a credit score now. And so they can come back to us and they would qualify for a larger loan. And we do see people come back. And actually, we've had people come back with offers from credit cards or other institutions that, to be completely honest, offer better rates than us. And they say, I can get a better rate there, but I like that I can actually come in and talk to you in person and ask questions in Spanish, and that you're in the community, and that I'm not calling some random 800 number and don't know who I'm talking to. But to answer the question, I mean, yes, people have a variety of needs. Sometimes, and Rudy probably knows this, is, while our loans are personal consumer loans, our people are entrepreneurs and they're starting businesses with very little capital, right? They don't need a $50,000 SBA loan to start businesses. And so sometimes they come to us and they need just a couple $1,000s to get started, right? And that's and they can't get it anywhere else. So we do see a variety of needs. They come in, they learn about us, they have ideally a positive experience and come back.
So thank you so much for that, Alejandra. And thank you, Cindy, for sharing some of the overarching themes and questions. And so technically we're running about 4 minutes over time. However, we did allocate an additional 30 minutes for less programmed or structured conversation. Both Alejandra, myself, and our team are making ourselves available. We can stay on the line so that we can have a more unscripted conversation. So before we kind of proceed to that next segment of tonight's program, I just really wanted to, first off, thank Alejandra for her time, and thank you for your expertise and for your leadership. I mean, this is something that I know that you've been doing for quite some time. And now more than ever, we do need options that work collectively to give folks the relief and the financial assistance that hopefully they need in a timely fashion, and hopefully in a way that's sustained over time, right? That's really the key point. I also wanted to bring folks' attention to the fact that I had mentioned resources early on in the conversation, and Cindy will be providing a list of resources in the chat box, which will be able to review if you decide to stay on the line, but also we'll be sending a follow-up email to today's conversation, and we'll also provide the resources as well. One other thing that we're doing that I'm very excited about is we will be providing a highlight video of today's conversation. So if anybody missed it or you want any details, it's going to be short. It's going to be for social media. It'll just be for 30 seconds. It'll just cover sort of the major topics, and then we'll have the full recording as well. So we'll have both options. We'll have the resources listed on our website. So again, it's called a charla for a reason. You know, I have my sandia here. I've been enjoying the conversation and having a little snack. So it is, it's a conversation, and we want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel welcomed. And to that end, let's begin the unscripted part of tonight's program. One more thing, I do want to bring everybody's attention to an initiative that both the Latino Coalition of Los Angeles and ULF have partnered on. It's called the Campaign for Nonprofit Resilience. We do have a lot of nonprofits here on the line, and as a philanthropy, we're very concerned about the future of our sector. We're very concerned about the nonprofits that are doing the very good work that we've been investing in and supporting for over 30 years, right? And so we see the writing on the wall across multiple sectors, whether it's the small business sector, whether it's housing and homeless, whether it's finance. All of the sectors are being impacted, and our nonprofit sector equally so. So if you could please visit our Campaign for Nonprofit Resilience. I know that Cindy's going to be putting that link up on the chat box. Oh, it looks like a very long, there's a lot of stuff there, Cindy. Maybe we want to break that up a little bit, Cindy, and break up that information. But please do visit the website. All we're asking for is your signature. You can see the different pillars of the activities. And no surprise, today's charla is one of the 4 pillars, which is about information, engaging, and connecting. So, Jake, if you could unmute us, and I'm going to pass the mic to my colleague Cindy, who is going to do, for lack of a better way of describing it, an moderated conversation. We want to make sure that I know all of you guys have been on Zoom where everybody's talking at once and it's crazy. So we want to make sure that everybody can participate in a relaxed environment. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your participation. I appreciate all of you. And one more thing, this is a weekly series. So we're going to be back here every Thursday, on average between 5 and 6, depending upon the speaker's availability. Please come back. The topics are going to get continue to be relevant, continue to be timely. I do want to give you a preview of next week, but I'm not officially allowed to yet. But what I can say is that we will be having some pretty high-level leadership talking about some pretty innovative solutions that they're proposing at the government level, both the city and the county level. That's all I can say for right now. So please join us next Thursday. I look forward to seeing all of you. Cindy, the mic is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Again, thank you, Alejandra, for being a part of this. I want to start off by saying sorry for the chunk of information. I'm breaking it down as I speak. But really just these are different resources. You can see the link right there to sign the petition. And if Jake, if you can be so kind to pull up the fact sheet that Alejandra was talking about, just so folks can get a second look at that. We will be sharing the link as well, but that way you'll have it on the screen too. So this is the fact sheet that she was speaking about. Again, there will be a link to it on the chat box. But Alejandra, I just wanted to give you a couple seconds. Is there anything you would like to highlight about the fact sheet?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I also I'd like to share, which was, not directly related to what we're discussing, is that we have also taken every effort and precaution to ensure, one, that our employees are safe, our employees at our retail locations, since we're still open. And two, we haven't had to lay off or furlough anybody. So ensuring that we keep them employed, and in general, we provide like really good benefits to our employees, but because they're on the front lines, it's like, what more extra can we do for them? And so this includes additional support for childcare for those who are still working, cross-training. So for folks who may be immunocompromised, or say, hey, I have someone at home who's immunocompromised, I don't feel comfortable dealing with like the public, it's like cross-training them to take on other functions, such as calling our customers and sharing with them like what options are available to them. So we are really, really proud of that, because as I mentioned earlier, we hire locally. So these are folks from the community. And then we've always had an employee assistance fund fees that our employees may face. And so we made an additional $100,000 contribution to that fund, knowing that our employees on the front lines might have additional needs during this time.
Thank you for sharing that. I have also provided for you folks contact information if you wanted to get in contact specifically with either Richard, Alejandra, or myself. Our contact information is on the chat as well. The title, the phone number, and the email. So please feel free to capture that information and reach out if there's anything else that comes up. Really just wanted to open up the mic for anybody that has any following questions. Right now that we have all the folks.
Does anybody have any comments, feedback, suggestions in terms of not only today's topic, but also if there are topics that you want to hear about going forward? I can give you some ideas about what we were talking about, but please don't be shy. This is your space. Own it.
I have a question for Alejandra. It's Cristina. Hi, Alejandra.
Hi, Cristina.
Thank you for such an informative session and Richard for putting it together. I did join a little bit late. What is the footprint of Oportun? Are you in several counties? Are you throughout California?
So we are in 9 states. Los Angeles County is still our largest footprint. We have about 90 locations in LA County alone, with 330 plus locations in 9 states. So California, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Florida, New Jersey, and Illinois.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody else that would like to take advantage of our panelists here and ask any questions?
Well, just to give folks a little preview of some coming attractions that we have lined up, because I always have to plug ULF and the work that we're doing. We have leadership lined up from the utility sector, specifically Southern California Gas Company has been a big partner for many years, decades actually, to ULF. So we're going to be featuring leadership from Southern California Gas Company speaking on their response to COVID and what they've done, what they've seen, what the upcoming needs are, and how they're being responsive so that our community members know what's available to them, how to access that relief, and who to contact. So that's we're going to focus on. We're going to have a utility focused conversation. We're also going to, and this is very exciting. We're going to focus on small business, and specifically, we're going to focus on the restaurant culinary sector. And we're going to feature not only a nonprofit that's working to connect local Latino restaurants with frontline medical staff who are basically having to work 24 hours at the hospital. The cafeteria is closed and they need to be fed. So someone has, Liliana Rocha has stepped up, connected the local restaurants who are selling in bulk with frontline staff at hospitals so they could be fed. And then also we're going to hear from restaurants themselves. We're going to hear about what Latino business owners and restaurateurs are doing to feed us and to feed our community. And then we're going to follow that up with a cooking demonstration so that if anybody wants to learn some new recipes from local chefs that are literally ensuring our health, well-being, and survival, you'll have access to a cooking demonstration. And then also, we're going to be speaking to elected officials as well. Elected officials from the county level, from the city, and from the state level that are leading public policy and investment responses to COVID-19 across multiple different domains. And so we'll be hearing from them as well. And then one other topic that I think is very important to all of us is equity. We are seeing that COVID-19 is revealing what we've always known to be true, that equity and race matters, and that across every single public policy issue that you can imagine, whether it's education, health, homelessness, jobs, small business, the race divide is revealing itself. It's becoming exacerbated by COVID-19. And so we are going to deal with that issue head on, and we're going to be speaking to leadership that is trying to amend and try to rectify not only the issue in the current moment, but into the future as well. So we're already booked pretty much through May. We have a very exciting lineup for all of you, and I really want to thank the Latino Coalition, who, by the way, is essentially managing the behind the scenes as well as the chat, and without the Latino Coalition, I don't think ULF would be able to host this high quality conversation and bring to you what the resources that you need and deserve. So thank you so much, Latino Coalition, for helping us out.
Yeah, please don't forget to enter your contact information on the chat. I know for some folks that came in a little bit later, we want to make sure we stay connected. So please do share that contact information. And just following up on Marlon's question, if you do have any, if you would like to share any one topic that you'd like to see featured discussed in the upcoming Fireside CharLAs, please let us know also on the group chat. We'll definitely take those into accountability.